Hey, it's Tuxedo Mark. It's 12:46 p.m. on Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. And this is my review of the Prisoner episode, A Change of Mind. Now, remember at the end of my last review, I had said that I was looking forward to this episode. Well, it turns out it's not the episode that I was thinking of. I know there is an episode at some point where they do like a mind swap storyline, and number 6 is in a different body, and that's to cover for the fact that Patrick McGoohan was filming a movie at the time. And I thought, based on the title of this episode, that this was it. A change of mind, but no, no, apparently not. So what is this episode about? Well, number 6 is doing his exercise routine in the woods. He's got like a homemade gym set up, basically. We see footage of this in what was the other episode that was in? It's Your Funeral, but it apparently came from this episode. And okay, before I get more into the plot, let me bring up the spreadsheet and give you some stats. So this episode was filmed it was the 8th episode filmed. Or no, sorry, I was looking at It's Your Funeral. This was the 9th episode filmed, okay? It was the 13th episode that was scheduled to be aired, but ultimately aired at number 12. I've seen it. The range that I've seen for this episode is anywhere from episode 9 to episode 13. We see 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. 11 definitely seems to be the most common placement for this episode. But as I said, it was produced. It was the 9th episode produced. I'm watching it in position 11. All right. So, okay, so number 6 is exercising outside. And then these two guys show up. And they're upset at him for not exercising in the community gym. And they call him antisocial. They try to fight him. Like, seriously, they try to fight him. Like, what's with this number 6? He's not exercising with the rest of us. He's antisocial. Yeah, whatever. Number 6 beats the crap out of him. So then he gets summoned to the council chamber to appear before the council. And he's waiting in a waiting room outside. There's basically, they have forced confessions. When someone exits the council chamber, they are told what to say to confess to being like antisocial, or I think the term that they start using later in the episode is what was it called? Unmutual. So, but the thing is, you can hear the voice of whoever on the radio or the speaker or whatever telling the person what to say, and then they just repeat it. No one questions this. Everyone applauds the villager confessing, even though it's quite obvious that it's a forced confession. So then it's number 6's turn to see the council. They have him sitting in a chair in the middle of their table, and he's spun around. I've seen the spinning chair thing in a few previous episodes. I don't know what the point of that is, other than to disorient him, maybe. But He refuses to admit anything. And they're like, further investigation is needed. They leave, and he's still sitting there. And then the butler comes by, and the butler's this short guy that appears in numerous episodes, and he opens up part of the table so number 6 can leave. Okay. Now it turns out that number 2, which is not the number 2 that we've seen in any previous episode, it's obviously a new number 2. He's working with a scientist, which is designated number 86. Anyway, number 6 keeps being harassed. There's this group of women that storm into his house like twice during that episode. They're part of like a subcommittee or something. They're upset with him for being unusual. There's an article written up in the village's newspaper, the Tally Ho, calling number 6 unusual. Oh boy. When he sits down at a restaurant and he gives an order, the waiter just he looks like he doesn't want to have anything to do with him. Other people leave. So then number 6 is sentenced to be lobotomized, or to give, well, that's basically what it is, but it's a procedure known as, oh yeah, they announced it over the village's PA system as well, that he's unusual. So number 86 is going to give him a social conversion. So yeah, it's, what's the exact term? Well, anyway, so it's basically a lobotomy. So supposedly he undergoes the procedure and then he's returned to his house. He's got a bandage over his forehead. But when we hear number 2 and number 86 speaking, we learn it was actually a fake procedure. They only make number 6 think that he's been given this procedure. It's kind of like a mind game. Later on, number 86 comes to serve him tea, and she drugs his tea. But he sees her do it because he's at the right angle. He sees her slip a pill into his tea. So he says he's cold. He wants a blanket from the closet in his room. So she goes to get it. He dumps out the tea after she had handed it to him. He dumps it into like a plant. She thinks he's drunk the tea. Let's see. On the second day, and he removed the bandage, supposed to covering an operation scar, and this concerns number 86 that he hasn't been properly conditioned, but number 2 is like, it's all right. So later on, number 86 tries to serve drug tea to number 6 again, but he takes over the tea making process. He dumps out the first cup, I think, and she's upset. She tries to drug his tea again. He takes over because he said, you don't know how to prepare tea properly. He has her do something else. He switches the cups. So she drinks the drug tea and she's acting like all stoned or whatever. Number 2 is watching all of this and he's pissed. He's upset at number 86. Here's the thing though. Why, if he can watch all of this, why didn't he see number 6 pour out his previous cup of tea on the previous day? There's no mention of that. But anyway, at some point, he beats up those 2 goons again when he's in the woods. First, he tries to act like he's been lobotomized, but then he fights back and beats them up. He goes to meet with number 2, and somehow he manages to convince number 2 that he's seen the error of his ways, and he wants to announce to the whole village that basically confess, So number 2 arranges it, but number 6 had hypnotized number 86 while she was in her drug state. He took off his watch. It's not a pocket watch like in a typical hypnosis scenes. He just waves his watch in front of her face and gives her a command that we don't hear. But basically, when the village clock strikes 4 o'clock, she has to loudly announce, I think she's in the tower, she has to loudly announce that number 2 is unmutual. So then the villagers turn on number 2 and chase after him, and he has to flee through his streets. So, yeah. So it was a fun episode, and I love that number 6 refuses to cooperate, and he's basically being unmutual during the whole episode. And then he turns the tables to number 2. But here's the thing. These villagers are so easily swayed. They all turn on number 6 in this episode, much more so than in any previous episode. Just because he's labeled as being unmutual, they shun him and they turn on him. And even the ladies that kept coming into his house eventually beat him with their umbrellas to subdue him and take him to be lobotomized. It's so weird to see all the villagers so working basically as a block with the management of the village against number 6. That's so unusual for this series. And then, just because number 86 loudly proclaims number 2 to be unmutual, all the villagers take their word for it and turn on number 2. This is like the most easily swayed group of people. It's a cult, basically. A cult with, I guess, ever-changing leadership. First, they listen to the PA system in the Tally Ho newspaper. Oh, number 6 is unmutual, so they shun him. Then they hear number 86, who's part of the system, say number 2 is unmutual. So they turn on the leader of the system, just like that. I mean, as we've seen recently in the past few years, cults will do whatever dear leader says. Anyway, so yeah, so that's this episode. Just looking through trivia here. All right, so I was just reading through some trivia, but basically, here's an interesting thing. The watch that number 6 uses to hypnotize number 86 is called a Tissot, and it's a Swiss luxury watchmaker. Where did he get such a luxurious watch? Do they sell them in the village stores? Anyway, so that's this episode. I got 6 episodes left to watch, 4 regular episodes, and then the 2-part series finale. So this episode, as I said, I had watched yesterday, and then I was just too tired to do anything, whether record a video or even watch an episode of Swan's Crossing, which I usually do. So I had to watch 2 of them this morning. But yeah, so now I've got another episode of Prisoner to watch for today. So I should probably be doing another review later on today. There's also I also want to do a live stream of some gaming. I'm going to be playing Legend of the Ghost Line on the NES, so you can join me on Twitch for that if you want. Don't know what time that'll be at. And yeah, that's about it. It was a fun episode. You notice number 6 has basically stopped trying to leave the village or trying to escape the village ever since he willingly returned at the end of Many Happy Returns. I mean, obviously, he didn't think he would be trapped again, but he willingly came back. So now he's like, okay, they even if I do escape, they can track me anywhere, so I might as well just stay and undermine the system from within. So, yeah. So that's all that I gotta say about this episode. It's 1:02 p.m. and that's it. Thanks for watching.